Welcome back to Eclipse Tech Demo Reviews. This time around, Chasms. Okay. So it's not quite a review, and this isn't technically a tech demo, but Chasms was the most recent Roblox phenomenon that I've gotten a ton of people requesting, which is a little bit weird because it doesn't have a ridiculous amount of people playing it or anything. It's sitting at roughly 1,000 concurrent players right now, and I'm sure that number's bound to go down for things that I'm going to mention shortly. But at the end of the day, this game, while visually impressive, appears to have a large identity crisis, and also just, well, I'll come out and say it, is not that much fun. I'm not entirely sure what the people who asked me to play this game were looking for, but I'm gonna do a breakdown of my experience with the game and the problems as well as the few positives that I found while playing. Anyways, as is per usual, I suppose we'll start with the positive stuff first. So, what was good about Chasms? I think the face value thing that probably comes to mind first is definitely the visual aspect of the game. It's Roblox, so this appeals to a lot of people, and sometimes this is all people need in order to have fun with the game. For those who know me, you'll know that I almost comment about the visuals of the game if they're good, but you'll also know that they're not even remotely important to whether or not the game is good or not to me. As far as I'm concerned, the game itself needs to be fun, and all of the visual stuff is window dressing at best. You can have a really cool looking game, but if it isn't fun, it doesn't really matter. In the case of Chasms, I think this is almost certainly represented exactly how I just said it. This game looks absolutely fantastic. The particle effects on display here are pretty much top-notch. The animation, pretty good. The sound, while it could definitely use some work, with some moves feeling like they completely lack sound effects and some moves having them just fine, is passable. But I think where Chasms really hits it out of the park is definitely when it comes to its level designs, as it's pretty clear that the map builder behind this is extremely talented and did a fantastic job. All you need to do is look at the footage on screen to be absolutely dumbfounded by the work that's on display here. These environments are inspired, interesting, the lighting is great, and they even had this super cool mechanic, which is these little orange particles that appear in order to make sure that you know where you're going and don't get lost. Because of how samey looking and feeling the dungeon can be at times, you would think that it would be really easy to get lost, and yet despite that, I think I only got lost once while playing, which is a testament to this mechanic in of itself, something that's supposed to be relatively low-key, and you'll only really notice if you're very much paying attention to it, or you got lost. I can also give the game credit for its enemies and its enemy designs. There's actually a pretty decent amount of enemy types in the game at current. They all have their own unique models and animations, and I'm sure that this stuff took a fair amount of time in order to put together. And lastly, when it comes to, in my opinion, probably the best part of the game is the movement mechanics. Movement in this game is extremely slick, feels really good, and the hub area itself shows off what this movement system could have been had the game been designed around it. Which, if you couldn't already figure it out, it is not. Yeah, it isn't. Okay, so now we get into the problems with this game, and I've got a whole lot of them. The first is the most obvious one, and that's the identity crisis that this game clearly has, because I don't know what this game is going for, especially when it comes to the pure discrepancy between the movement mechanics of the game, the level design of the game, and the combat of the game. So if you're looking at the movement on screen right now in the hub world, you can see that there's a whole lot of cool mechanics here that can make you potentially move really quickly through levels, and you'd almost think that this is some sort of parkour game and not a dungeon crawler fighting game. You have a slide which lets you go under small obstacles as well as jump out of. You can run along walls, which is super neat. And probably the most fun thing is that if you jump on these little wires, you can launch yourself forward really quickly. And as I'm sure you can imagine, if you combine all of these different mechanics together, you have an incredibly slick and good feeling movement system. But like I said, the issue is that in the actual game itself, I barely ever used any of these. Now granted, this may be because this is the first level of the game, and in the current state of this quote-unquote beta release of Chasms, there's only one level, which I think was a huge mistake and has a lot of problems in its own right that I'm sure I'll get to later. But regardless, the first level of the game, or I guess technically two levels of the game, has borderline, if not absolutely no use for the movement mechanics. Sometimes you slide under stuff in order to get to secret areas, and that's about it. You'd think that there would be puzzle rooms or platformer rooms where you need to wall run, or you need to do a series of jumps with vines, or something like that, but no, that's just not the case. That is never the case. Maybe in some of these levels, in theory, you could clear them faster by using the movement mechanics, but it's never required, and it's never utilized effectively, and I have absolutely no idea why. It just dumbfounds me. Why would you put so much work and effort into a movement system and then not even use it? Like, at all. And it gets even worse when we start talking about combat, because I'll just come out and say it. Combat in this game, it's uninspired, it sucks, and it's boring. This game is effectively mash your skills, then run in circles, mash your skills, then run in circles, and there's not a whole lot more to it than that. The controls literally consist of attack and your abilities. There's no blocking, there's very rarely any need to dodge attacks. You just kind of mash all the keys on your keyboard and spam M1s and you win. There really isn't much else that I can say about combat other than what I just told you, that I don't like it and it's boring. But the one thing that I absolutely can tell you is that the combat is at a complete antithesis to the movement system, because combat slows you down to a crawl. All of your moves have a ton of end lag, they have decent windups, and they all borderline stick you in place as if you're stuck in molasses, which in a lot of these games is just the way it works. And I wouldn't even bring that up as an issue because it's supposed to be some sort of risk-reward system or what have you. But in this game, it feels like it's antithetical to the design of the game itself, because again, you can be going incredibly fast, flying through the levels, and then if you want to fight, it's like you hit a brick wall. Stop dead. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, why? Why would you design the combat to be slow as ass and then design the movement to be fast as shit? Game, make up your mind. And I suppose on the final note, when it comes to combat and movement, we could talk about the only boss battle in the game at current, because like I said, there's only one level. And the first time I got to this boss, bing, bam, bada boom, I'm dead. Yeah, so the boss kills you in like 4 hits. Go fucking figure, right? Well, as it turns out, as I said earlier, because the game basically has move around and attack, all you do is run in circles until the boss uses an attack, go in, press some buttons, run in circles, go in, press some buttons, circles, go in, buttons, circles, go in, buttons, circles, go in, buttons. Yeah, it's boring. But on the bright side, after you complete the game and you go back up to the hub world, you get to bring all of the things that you mined in the level back up with you. So now we get a great chance to talk about mining, something that I skipped over before. The main goal of Chasms, presumably, is not only to level up your character by just killing enemies and such, but also to mine certain resources that are valuable and bring them back up with you. And these resources you'll be able to sell in order to get money, and then you can use that money in order to upgrade your character even further. Money can be used to buy new moves or upgrade your current moves. Unfortunately, throughout the roughly hour and 15 minutes that I played this game, I got 0 upgrades because the progression on this game is, it's rough. Once again, some of this may stem from the fact that there's currently only 1 level in the game, which means that the worth of a lot of the stuff that you can get in the first level of the game is lower than it will be later. But when it comes down to it, if you just go in and mine a bunch of stuff, kind of almost at random, which there's stuff absolutely everywhere, so especially on your first or maybe second playthrough, you're definitely going to do this. You make like maybe $100, $200, and you need like 1,000 plus in order to get a new move or upgrade something. So play the same level again and again and again and again and again in order to get a singular upgrade. Fantastic. But the mining system itself has its own problems, especially when it comes to explaining or displaying what ores are worth what amount. Because while when you get to the end of the level, it'll show you how much stuff your things are worth, there are some other problems, like the fact that when I was playing, I was mining stuff, and the color coordination when it came to the things that showed up at the bottom was seemingly just completely fucking random. This one says it's blue, and blue, generally speaking, you'd think is rare, but when you get to the end of the game, it's an uncommon. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Or I do understand. The goal of this whole system is to make you pay Robux to sell your stuff while you're actually in the thing instead of completing the game, coming out, selling it, and then doing it again and again and again. It's a monetization scheme, and listen, I get it. Every game's got to make their money, but this is rough. And we talk about monetization, we could talk about how this game is also Pet Simulator, because every Roblox game has to be Pet Simulator. Ooh, hash is offline, it's wonderful. Well, I'm not waiting 3 hours to see what I get from this stupid egg, so yeah, not happening. But really, the fact of the matter is that I think that despite all of the issues that I have with Chasms, the number one thing that I think set them up for failure here is their current release idea, which is the beta release of a game that has basically nothing in it, basically no reason to continue playing, and I just don't know why games do this. I feel like it sets themselves up to fail. So to any aspiring game developer out there, let me try to explain this the best I can, because a lot of people, especially the bigger developers on Roblox, have already figured this out, so maybe this will help you out. If you release a game extremely early, before it's even remotely done, with bare bones content, even if that content is polished and well done, it doesn't matter, because people are going to jump on, they're going to play for maybe an hour, they're going to finish everything you have to offer, and then that's it. The odds of them coming back are not very high. There are tons of games on this platform. Tons of games that have been in development for years and years and years. That means that if you're putting a game together now, you're already at a disadvantage. And that sucks, but it is the way it is. The reality of the day, though, is if you put out your game like Chasms has here, where it has basically nothing in it, and it's not just a limited time tech demo, which maybe this is. Maybe they're gonna take it down and then put it up later, which would probably be the smart option, because that would make people at least somewhat interested to come back and keep some sort of mysticism about it. But that seems relatively unlikely. And so I would be pretty surprised if this made any sort of leeway past its initial success here, because most people have already played it. They're probably just gonna call it quits and probably not going to return. And so when you couple that with all the other problems that I've already talked about, and I guess that's it. I'm sorry that I've been so negative in this video, but I genuinely just didn't find much of anything to enjoy or have fun with in this game. It's a bare bones tech demo with an identity crisis. And I think if they can sort that identity crisis and do something with the one good mechanic that they have, which is their movement, then maybe there's an interesting game here. But without that, I think they're in trouble. Anyways, that being said, I am done here. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe. If you didn't, don't. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next time.